We have over 8.5 million customers now on WazirX.
Hi, Nischal. Welcome to Digit. And uh, we have been, reading a lot about cryptocurrency and especially the tech enthusiast community at Digit. They have been quite intrigued with the fact that it's a completely new boom that's happening, and a lot of people are figuring out whether they should get into cryptocurrency as a as an investment point of view, and what it takes to actually start investing in trading, right? So could you just first, introduce yourself and tell us about the story behind WazirX, how it started?
Sure, absolutely. I think first of all, thanks a lot for inviting me here. And I think Digit, the brand, has been very special for me. It's something that I think I used to read diligently during my early days. And I think it used to be a time where, a lot of the new technologies, I think a lot of us, me and my friends, used to discover it on the magazine. So yeah,
Right.
very interesting where
Glad to
we've
know
come
that. Yeah.
from. Yeah. To give a bit of a background about me, I started off as a software engineer, and I created a social media company. And from there, WazirX happens to be my second startup. Um, and the reason I created that was because the technology, which is blockchain and crypto, it's radically different from any other technology that we've seen. Like,
Yeah.
you always hear about new technology like AI and ML, but the underlying factor behind all of these is centralization. And what that means is one company, one entity controls what they build. And for the
Right.
first time in the world, blockchain gives you that opportunity to build something collectively, irrespective of where you are.
Right.
And once even the builders, the people who build that chain, do not have control over it. So it's a true democratization of anything that is being built, where the consumers also are part of it. And I think that attracted me. And we realized that in India, when we were looking at, so we knew the technology to build on. We wanted to build on this technology, but we didn't know what to build. And when we started researching, and this was late 2017, the prices of crypto were really going up quickly. And I was trying to buy some Bitcoin in India, and I realized that I mean, it took me about a week to buy my first Bitcoin. And the problem was by that time the prices had shot up. So I realized that while we can build a lot in the technology, the entry point of the technology, which is the exchange part, where you have to buy and get into crypto, if that is taking a week and if it is so broken, how will India ever participate in this technology? So that pushed me to building WazirX. WazirX is a exchange. What that means is if you want to buy Bitcoin or any other crypto, you can come to WazirX and buy it with your INR. And we sort of see that as the gateway for anyone to get into crypto. So we launched in 2018, early 2018, and soon after there was this whole banking ban in India that came up.
Yeah.
For us, we navigated that. We built some technology where we don't need to have a bank account, and you can still buy and sell cryptocurrency in India, and that helped us get that initial boost of customers coming in. Now, how does an exchange work? The simplest thing to understand it, it's like a marketplace. Let's say I'm a person who has one Bitcoin and
Yeah.
I want to sell it, and you're someone who wants to buy Bitcoin. Both of us will put an order on the exchange. I'll put a sell order, you'll put a buy order. And the
Okay.
work of the exchange is to match the order if the prices are in sync with both the ask and the bid. And the moment it matches, I get INR and you will get Bitcoin. And all of this happens without me and you having to interact with each other or even know each other. So that's what
Okay.
an exchange does. But as part of WazirX, we also make sure that at least we as a platform know who both the parties are. That's where KYC comes into the picture. Because you don't want to be
Yes.
buying crypto from anonymous sources and then land in trouble. Which is why we make sure that KYC and all the other compliances we are
Right.
taking care of. Now, there are not defined rules in India around compliances for exchanges, crypto exchanges, but we follow what most of the traditional banking sector follows. So yeah, that's what WazirX is all about. And I think we were not the first exchange. We were, in fact, not even the second or the third. We were probably, we were late in the game comparatively. But what we realized was one of the biggest, because this is an unregulated market, the biggest issue in an unregulated market is you can't just trust any exchange because there are no licenses, there is no regulator, and you're dealing with your assets. There's a risk if you use any random exchange out there. So to build that trust, we focused on, for example, me as a founder coming out in the open and talking about crypto, being there for our customers, for people to understand what crypto is. That was one of the biggest things we did differently. We also made sure that people got a really amazing mobile app, because what was happening is before we were launching, everyone was focusing on the web. But if you look at the demographic of India, it's wildly it's hugely mobile.
Yes.
So we made sure that we had like really amazing mobile apps for people, and all of these things helped us. Today we are the largest crypto exchange in India by a large margin. And I think it's all about understanding India, focusing on the India market, and making sure that you listen to your customers, and that's what we did.
Sure. So, like you said, that probably one of the areas which I won't call it concern, but people definitely want to know more is about the security bit, right? Two things. One is security in terms of transactions, and second is obviously, like when it comes to stock markets, you have SEBI, right, which kind of is an authority that kind of you can go to if something goes wrong, right? So how does one guard against any issues in terms of transactions or transaction failure, something going wrong suddenly if I wake up in the morning and there is no Bitcoin in my wallet, right? Stuff like that. So how does one guard against that? Because like, are there any government rules in place, government bodies in place, or is it kind of it's on trust completely?
Yeah, see, I think so. Security in crypto is like a vast topic, and it involves various factors. The first being let's say uh, let's start with you as a customer. What are the things you can do to make sure that you're safeguarding your crypto? So the first thing is whatever exchange or platform you're going to use, you have to make sure they at least have 2FA, two-step authentication, because that's the most important. Crypto, unlike anything else, is once a crypto is out of the wallet, there's no way to undo it because it is decentralized and there is no control. Like in banks, what happens sometimes you might make a wrong transfer and you can talk to the bank. The bank will talk to the other bank and reverse it. In crypto, is
Yes.
very hard to do that, almost impossible. So you have to make sure that nobody gets access to your account on an exchange, which means making sure you have two-step verification at least. The other part is so and then not sharing your password, keeping a strong password,
Yeah.
all the regular things that you do with an email account. The second step is, now let's say you are always careful, but you are using an exchange. Now in India and in most part of the world, there is no regulation or framework around crypto, because it's
Yeah.
such a new
Yeah.
topic and it never existed when laws were made. So very important due diligence that you should do as a customer is to know the background of the people behind it. How big are they? And have there been incidents in the past? What are the backgrounds of the founders? How big is the team? Who are the investors in that exchange? All of these become very essential, because like the banking sector, what happens is if they have a banking license, you can go in. But in
Correct.
this, there is no license. There's no
Right.
special license required. And also not just that. There's also not a requirement for you to be only in India as an exchange. You could be global. You could be from any country and still service, because wherever there is internet, you can reach as a exchange. So it becomes very, very important for you to do your due diligence and make sure that you know who the people are behind and from where they are, and all of those. Um, Having said that, as an industry, we are doing some steps to make sure that even in the absence of regulation, we at least have some regulatory, self-regulatory framework. So we built something called as a code of conduct for all the exchanges in India, at least in India, whoever is there, and all of us adopt that, where some standard things are there, like KYC is necessary. AML policies to be followed, a certain level of fund protection, solvency, all of these things. We have that in our code of conduct. WazirX is part of that. A few other exchanges in India are part of it. This is a committee formed under IAMAI. It's called Blockchain and Crypto Committee. So that's something that we follow. And the idea was that even if it's not regulated, let's self-regulate so that we can have a framework in place. So when the government decides to regulate, they'll have a working framework already that we are all following. So that was the idea. Now, apart from this, the other part of crypto is the security on the exchange itself. So whether a exchange is known or unknown, one of the biggest problem is, for the first time on the internet, what has happened is there is something which is valuable that a hacker can remove apart from data. Until now, if you hear about hacks, it's always data, because data was valuable. They'll hack the data and use it. But with the crypto, what has happened is not just data, you also get real valuable assets that you can withdraw, your Bitcoin and all the other crypto. So it becomes important for exchanges to make sure that they have some standard safeguards and they're constantly working on the security. To give you an example of some industry-wide practices on how crypto exchanges secure their wallets and their crypto, is the simplest is there's this concept called as cold wallet and hot wallet.
Okay.
So what happens is, let's say you, as an exchange, you collectively have 100 Bitcoins that belong to your customers. Now you can keep all of those 100 Bitcoin on your server, but the risk is, if there is a hack, the hacker can withdraw all of those 100 Bitcoin and you've lost all of the assets of your customers. Now, why do you keep that on the server? Is because you have to honor the withdrawals that can happen. Because as a customer, if you're buying Bitcoin, you also can withdraw Bitcoin out of an exchange. So what exchanges do is they only keep a small amount of Bitcoin that is needed for withdrawals, and the rest are kept in a hardware wallet which is not connected to the internet. So if a wallet is not connected to the internet, there is no way a hacker can gain access to it. So instead of keeping 100 Bitcoin, maybe you will keep one Bitcoin, because you know that in a day or in a week, one Bitcoin gets withdrawn, and the remaining 99 Bitcoin is kept in a hardware or a external non-internet connected wallet. So the one which is not connected to the internet is called a cold wallet, and what you keep on your server is a hot wallet. So this way, what happens in the event of a hack, a small percentage of the Bitcoin is lost, which the exchanges probably can cover themselves and not have to worry about lose. It's a lot like how banking works. Like on your ATM, your entire bank's money is not in that one ATM. It's only how much is needed, and the rest is in a vault.
Yeah.
So it's very similar, same philosophy. So yeah, I think these are some of the things that from a security point of view matter.
Sticking to the same topic, I mean, do you see any government regulations coming anytime soon? Or do you guys also talk to the government, officials, or is there any sign of this becoming a little more organized from a government point of view?
Yeah, we are constantly engaging with everyone, the regulators, the government, wherever we can, in whatever form. And it just does not involve just about regulation, but even education. In fact, that's a bigger thing. Like recently, I had a conference with I think over 500 people from the entire cybercrime department around the country coming in, just to understand about crypto and answer their Q&As. So we constantly have these kind of things. But in terms of regulation, look, India is a large country. And if you look at the global regulatory landscape around crypto, very few countries have been able to regulate it yet until now. And it's comparatively smaller economies which have done that. The larger ones like the US, EU countries, they've not really done it yet. The reason is because this is for the first time where you have a technology which sometimes can behave as an asset, sometimes can behave as a currency, and sometimes it can behave as a utility. So there's no one framework that you can apply. I think it's going to take a few years before we see some regulation around crypto. But in between, what I believe will happen is some guidelines will come from the governments, some do's and don'ts for all the businesses that exist. Because in the current form, it's also dangerous. While you might have good exchanges, you can always have some bad actors playing, in a wrong direction and not doing the right things for customer protection and stuff. So I hope to see some guidelines coming up. In terms of at least the India government, what has happened is until last year, the government has never formally said anything. But this year we've seen some progress. Like our finance minister, I think it was Feb or March, she said that India will look at crypto regulation, and India wants to take a calibrated approach towards regulating crypto in India. So we are seeing progress in the government in terms of looking in that direction of regulation. But realistically, I think it will take a few years before regulation sets in.
Sure. So another thing we observed is the fact that we should buy a cryptocurrency in India. Let's say if I want to buy Bitcoin, it's a bit more expensive compared to other markets. Is that the fact, or is it? So are there any more charges that are levied besides the market rate?
So the thing is, look, how an exchange works is the exchange really does not control the price. You're selling and someone else is buying. That's all that happens. Um, and the exchange only charges us very small percent. Like for us, we charge from 0.1 to 0.2%. That is the only extra charge we do, and that's also again not something that you see on top of the price, but it includes in the price that someone buys or sells with. The difference, but it is true that prices of Bitcoin, for example, they're not the same in any one geography.
Okay.
It depends country to country based on the demand and supply of Bitcoin in that country. Because depending on how many bitcoins are traded in a country and how much is the demand, there will always be that small difference. That's the arbitrage opportunity that many see, where you'll see some fluctuation. So India, usually what happens is 2 to 3% or 5% higher than the USD value of Bitcoin. That's what we've seen.
Okay.
Usually 1 to 2%.
Okay.
But that happens because of the demand and supply, not because an exchange levies extra charges on it.
Okay. And how many cryptocurrencies are offered on WazirX? And I'm looking at expanding numbers, and how does that work in terms of, because I have WazirX on my phone, so I keep at least checking out. I'm like a fence sitter right now, figuring out when to jump in. But so I see a lot of new coins almost like every week, right? And new currencies coming up besides the top 4 5, which are kind of there. So how does that work? How does new currencies come into the market? And does there a call that you guys take, or is it something that you guys kind of leave it to the market itself?
Yeah, so I think, see, there are over 10,000 crypto out there, and each has its own use cases and all. We have about, I think, 180 to 200 listed right now. And the idea is to constantly, look for and list good tokens that people find interesting. Uh, our listing process usually, and for any exchange, there's no one set process. It differs in terms of it's very dependent on the situation and the conditions, market conditions. For example, many times what happens is we realize that a lot of our users are asking for a particular crypto that is not listed. So that's like user demand, which drives us to list it. And many times we see that a crypto token got a lot of listings quickly in other exchanges. So we realize that maybe this is interesting. Or sometimes what happens is we look at how what's the trading volume of a token globally, and if it is not there on our exchange, we'll list it. Sometimes the teams reach out to us, and then we see if it is interesting, we'll list it. And there's a lot of due diligence that goes before listing happens. But in general, there's no one set process. It depends on market conditions and what the flavor of the season is. Sometimes what do people expect? It's all very subjective. Um, Having said that, I think for right now, what has happened is the way it works is cryptos, anyone can build it. So we don't intend to list everything that comes up. We see that as we have some barriers to entry, which we want those tokens to adhere to. And if they can hit those barriers in terms of trading volumes and how many exchanges and all of those things, then we list them on our exchange.
Sure. So talking about the factors that are considered, what exactly governs the value of a cryptocurrency, right? I mean, when it comes to other markets, at least there is either there's a stock for a company which is actually listed, and there's a business that they are doing, and invest in that company, and then you look at how the company is going, the growth factors, and that kind of decides the stock value as well, right? Or for that matter, even a mutual fund, you invest in a group of companies and all that. Over here, I mean, you're not investing in a company of sorts, right? So what governs the valuation and the fluctuations, right? Is it purely speculative in terms of what people are buying or people are kind of betting on, or is there something more to it?
No, at the end of the day in crypto, it's pure demand and supply. How many people want a token? How many people have the token and are selling it? And there's nothing much because it might seem on the surface like shouldn't it be exactly like how a security or a stock is, which is you hold it for earning profits that the
Correct.
company generates. But in the case of crypto, uh, crypto is not somewhere where you buy it so that the product it is built on will make some other profit. Crypto is the token that will be used on the product that it was built for, and the more it gets used, the more valuable it becomes because there'll be more demand. So it's purely just the demand and supply for that token that decides how valuable it is. To give an example, let's take the example of Ethereum. Ethereum is a blockchain, and if you want to run any software on top of the Ethereum blockchain, you'll need to use the Ether token. That is the token of that blockchain. So as more and more people create applications on top of Ethereum, and people start using that application, people will need Ether, which means the demand will go up, and which is where the prices will go up. So it's just purely on usage of that token and the demand and supply.
So does that mean that you can actually drive a stock, sorry, a cryptocurrency value higher by just like inflating a demand? If a lot of people start buying a particular coin, automatically the value will go up, right?
Yeah, and that's where there is a disconnect between usage and the whole demand and supply that exists. Because a lot of times, what happens in especially in crypto is these are all new protocols and new things being built, and they may not always be in use right now. But a lot
Right.
of people believe that as the crypto ecosystem matures, these protocols and products will get more popular, and that's why they buy it now. So
Right.
that would be purely on demand only. And that's why sometimes you see some crazy valuations for crypto projects which are not even live yet. But that's what people want to buy into because they believe once it goes live, the tokens that they buy will be in demand by the other users. So that's how it works.
Because I've seen like a few tweets can actually swing the rates massively, right? We've seen at least Elon Musk tweeting a couple of times, and we've seen how Dogecoin and
Yeah, see, the thing is,
coins have
yeah,
changed.
and how the reason why that is more than one. Sure, Elon Musk has a lot of followers. The second is the moment he, let's say, or any celebrity tweets about it, because crypto is such a hot topic, everyone in the media, in the local media and the international media, will also pick it up. So,
Right.
an Elon Musk tweet actually gets covered by media across the world. So, you can understand the power of the distribution that tweet would get, which is where,
Yes.
and because crypto is new, there is this huge number of people who get to know about it for the first time ever, and
Right.
then they get into crypto. So that brings in an immediate demand, which where you see the price rise happen.
Sure. So, what advice would you have for someone who's, like me, maybe a fence sitter, right, who's wanting to get into it? How should that person go about? I mean, obviously, there are people. I mean, I'm aware of who are completely, I mean, like neck deep into it, and I mean, they're in for primarily for profits, right? As an investor, right? So, what advice would you have for someone who's, still quite eager, but is a fence sitter, So how should he or she go about it?
Sure. I think the most important thing is to first understand your risk appetite. And let's say if you are someone who's already an investor, you need to first figure out your risk appetite, and based on that, mark out an allocation that you want to get and put into crypto. Maybe let's say you want to play it very safe and not risk a lot. Maybe 5% of your portfolio. Now, in that 5% corpus, how do you divide that into different crypto that exist? There's no formula as such, but I would suggest that based on data, what I can say is that usually, let's say maybe 50 to 60% is usually into Bitcoin because that's the oldest, it's the most liquid, it's the most known and most stable as compared to other
Right.
crypto. Then of the remaining 50%, maybe 25% into the top 100 or 200 tokens. And the other 25%, you could probably try to explore really new projects that are probably not yet popular, but you research and you understood that the team is good, the protocol they're building is interesting. Maybe that. So that's a good allocation of 50, 25, 25 kind of allocation. And I think the other thing I would suggest is you might often hear stories of people seeing 5x 10x returns in a short period of time.
Yes.
Now it's very difficult to time it that way, so you should look at a long term view. For example, if you look at Bitcoin, anyone who held Bitcoin for, let's say, 3 years has never lost money in the last 10 years history of Bitcoin. No one has lost money. Like even in 2017, if you remember, Bitcoin had hit a top of about 19 or $20,000. That's about 15 lakh rupees. And today it's trading at $55,000. So even if you bought at the peak, but you thought of a long-term vision for holding this, then you were safer. Of course, it's not like history will repeat itself all the time. But
Right.
looking at the progress of crypto, there is a long way to go for adoption. To give you a simple idea in terms of numbers, there are about 150 million people in the world who own crypto today, and the internet has 4.7 billion people, and there is nothing stopping the rest of the people from getting into crypto. It's only understanding and knowledge. So you have a long way. You're an early adopter. I would say look at it from a long-term investment rather than a short, quick game where you want to make a lot of money in a short time. I don't think that's the right approach here.
Is there a crypto fund, like a mutual fund, where the idea behind these funds are to actually balance it out, right? So that, like you said, like you give me a mix of, 3 or 4 options, and say where you have a safety net and then you have a high risk part of your investment, so that it's balanced, right? So is there a crypto fund of sorts, or is that in the works?
Uh, I think there might be a few, but it's still not very widespread. Simply because this is a new market, and it's still at like the first level. Funds usually come when the markets mature a bit more. So
Yeah.
I think but you'll still see there's no experiment that is not happening in crypto. So there will always be, but I think it's very early to say. Nothing has found success. No fund has like where consumers can buy in and it's been such. That's not happened yet, I think.
Uh, what about NFTs? Is that also something that WazirX is looking at? And I'm guessing, that's the next, hot topic. And I guess that's little more, uh, easy to understand for the common person, right? Because basically, so is WazirX getting into it, or are you already into
Yeah,
NFTs?
we're already. In fact, we launched India's, I think, first NFT platform about 3.5 months ago. And the idea is that let's provide a way for creators and the creative industry to showcase their NFTs
Right.
to people, and we built a decentralized product. So it's something which is not under our control. We've just built the interfaces. You can come and list it, and someone can buy it from you, and it's doing well. We're seeing over, I think, 400, 500 creators are on the platform, and we've sold thousands of NFTs. We, as in the creators on the platform, and I think it's going well, and people are taking notice of it. It's still early days of NFT, and the world is also trying to figure out. But yeah, like you said, I think it's a new demographic of people who are getting into crypto because of NFT.
Right.
So if you thought of crypto tokens before, they were in the domain of investors and traders. And now for NFTs, while investors and traders are involved, but there are also this new set of people who don't buy it only because they want to sell it quickly. They buy it
Yeah.
because they follow an artist. They believe in an
They are
artist.
collectors. Yeah.
Yeah, they're collectors. So that's a new demographic that has entered into crypto. And I think that's how crypto is spreading itself, bringing in opportunities for new audiences to get involved. And NFT is just that first, I think, thing that it's showing us that you just don't need to be a trader or an investor to be part of this crypto ecosystem. So very
Right.
excited about it, and I think we'll continue to develop more into the platform. We are learning from our customers' requests and then building into it.
So I guess that's a purely a marketplace in terms of, you can just list it and you have buyers who would probably, connect and buy this, right? Because we
Yeah,
also planning to
absolutely.
have digit covers as NFTs because we have a legacy of 20 years. That's about,
Uh-huh.
a lot of digit covers, and we have a lot of fans who collect digit covers, right, of the
Yeah, that'll
magazine.
be very
So
interesting, I think.
we are figuring out how to ensure, and we are creating NFTs for digit covers. So maybe we can actually have them listed on WazirX.
Absolutely. That'll be fun.
So yeah, that'll be fun. Some numbers, right? So can you share some numbers in terms of how many people are trading on WazirX, right? How many? I mean, whatever you can share, right, officially,
Sure.
and what are the demographics like? Do you see this being a very decentralized in that sense that it's across the country, or is it like more in the south or more in the cities and not in small towns? How does
So,
that look?
yeah, so we have over 8.5 million customers now on WazirX. The growth has been crazy in the last 10 to 12 months. For example, I think it took us 3 years or a little less than 3 years to reach the first 1 million customers. That was Jan of this year, and now we have 8.5. So we've grown about 8x in just this year in terms of number of customers. In terms of demographic, it's usually 22 to 28-year-olds, which form the largest
Okay.
segment. Um, and in 2018, 2019, we saw a lot of people from the metros. So it was concentrated in the metros in the early days. And this year, what we've seen is that the tier two and tier three cities have overtaken the metros in terms of
Oh
signups.
wow.
And yeah, and it's growing. So what it shows is that crypto is sort of like, I like the term you use, decentralizing itself in terms of participation as well. And the reason is because all you need is a mobile phone and internet, and we know that the internet penetration in India is growing. So I
Right.
think we are just seeing that replicate in crypto. And in terms of growth, we've grown rapidly in terms of volumes. I think in terms of I think around 3,000% we've grown in terms of trading volumes and signups and everything around it. And it's because globally also crypto has tremendously grown quickly as a technology. So India is replicating that, and it's a good thing because I think we are a software nation, and
Correct.
participating in a new technology is always a great thing for us.
So where do we stand in compared to global, numbers? I mean, are we doing well compared? I mean, depending on when we started, are we fairly doing well, or are we, far behind?
No, I think we're doing well, but we could do better. I think we are probably in the top 5 or 7 nations in crypto, at least in terms of number of people in crypto. But I don't think in the terms of assets held, I don't think we are in the top 10 probably. Also because of the lower ticket sizes in the country, but I think we can overtake that as well. But yeah, we started late as a nation, but I don't think we are doing bad. We are doing well, but there's a lot to catch up because we started late.
Right. So, Nishal, one question that we get asked very, frequently, or at least the doubts that friends and colleagues have is, okay, how you know quickly can you sell a coin and get the money in your account, right? So, is that similar to how you trade in stocks or mutual funds, or does that take some amount of time, right?
So yeah, I think it's quick, it's instant almost, always.
Right.
Uh, Depending, it also depends on the liquidity available. For example, if you want to sell a large amount, very large amount, and there are not enough buyers, then maybe it will take longer. But usually that does not happen because the markets are more liquid than ever right now. So regular for regular retail customers, it's almost instant. You want to sell, let's say, Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything, you put a sell order, and if you put it at the price at which it is ongoing, it will instantly match with the other person, and you'll get your money, and then you can withdraw that money into your bank account. That is dependent on the speed of transfers. Usually, it's instant again, but can take half an hour or 1 hour for the money to reach your bank. But otherwise, the sale of crypto on the exchange becomes fast. It all for selling, being able to sell crypto. The speed is usually about liquidity. How much orders are already there on an exchange, and this is where going with the larger exchange is helpful for you, and also similarly the price difference. If there is more liquidity, then the prices are best compared to an exchange where there are less orders, because then you have to compromise, you have to sell it for cheaper maybe. So for example, on WazirX we are the highest and the largest liquidity in the INR market in the country. So you will always be able to sell instantly and at the best market price.
So you guys actually hold, coins, or when people want to buy. I mean, or is it purely on a P2P basis? How does the transaction work?
So we custody the assets that belong to our customers when they want to sell and buy, but we don't put the buy and sell order. The customers will put it, and because we have a lot of customers, so that's where we have a large amount of liquidity as well, because everyone's putting their orders all the time. So you always will have liquidity in the exchange.
There's also P2P trading option, right? I saw in the app. So is that different, where you actually connect with the seller directly?
Yeah. So the thing is, the P2P option is where, let's say, instead of having to send your INR to our exchange, you want to directly deal with someone. That's where we connect you with a buyer or a seller, where instead of sending that INR to our bank account and then using it within our system, you can directly send the INR to the other person, and that other person, crypto will come to you in our WazirX wallet. So it's like a three-party system. And that's something that many people like, so we have that option as well. It was more useful during the banking ban days, because that time that was the only way in which you could buy Bitcoin or crypto using INR, because we did not have a bank account as an exchange. No exchange was allowed to have a bank account. You could directly trade with the seller and make the purchase.
Sure. So I guess brings me to my last question, which is actually, what's next for WazirX, right? I mean, what else can we expect going forward, besides the fact that, yes, I mean, you guys are growing, and like you just said, that right now we just scratching the surface in terms of the interest levels and people trading, and being on the platform. But what's next? Can you expect something new from WazirX in the near future?
Sure, absolutely. I think the most important thing is we are continuing on the whole education part of this ecosystem, which is educate more and more people. We think that's the right way, and we are also working on expanding the ecosystem in various initiatives. We are also going toward decentralization. For example, the NFT platform, that was a decentralized NFT platform. We are also bringing a decentralized exchange. There's work ongoing on that. The idea is let's get people to understand how decentralized products work, and we want to push people in that direction of decentralization. And then there are quite a few features that our customers have been requesting for, and we are constantly working on that. And because we are growing fast, we're also working on a lot of the services that were built. They were not built for the kind of scale that we've seen and the rapid growth. So we are also trying to re-engineer some of the systems to adapt to this kind of growth that we've seen. It's a combination of making sure that the existing ones can scale and bringing in new features that people want.
And what's the story behind the name WazirX? Where does that come from? A lot of people ask me that question as well.
Yeah, I get asked that often. So Wazir is like the queen piece in chess, and we wanted to build a platform that gives you a powerful like a tool that can make any move that you want. We think of trading and investing also like it's a game of mathematics and understanding and making the right strategies. So a lot like the game of chess, and the most powerful piece in chess is the queen piece after the king. And for us, the king is a customer, and we are the the wazir for the customer. So that's how this came, and X is for an exchange.
Nice. So a lot of people, I'm sure, will be delighted to know the story behind the name actually, and it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, basically putting the control in the customer's hands, right? That's what.
Right.
It says, yeah. Sure. So nice chatting with you, Nischal. Thanks a lot for answering our questions and also helping us understand the entire cryptocurrency exchange game better. And let's hope we connect soon for another interaction. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Som, for inviting me here.
Thank you, Nischal. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.